Wait, don't move yet. Heaven went quiet after yesterday, and that silence is not accidental. Something you did or refused to do stopped activity in the unseen. It wasn't overlooked. It was registered. And the reason this message is in front of you now is because that moment was reviewed at the highest level. Welcome to the Soul Bond Theory channel. This is a message for chosen ones who felt an unusual stillness after being tested without warning. When heaven falls silent, it means a decision has already been made. Today, we're revealing why your response yesterday carried more weight than you realized. Why even God took notice, and what that divine pause is preparing to release next. Stay present. This explanation is not meant to be heard out of order. Stop scrolling. Before you move your thumb even 1 inch, understand this. You were intercepted, not randomly, not by algorithm. This message stepped into your path because heaven required your attention at this exact moment. You are not here by curiosity. You are here by summons. Heaven is silent right now, not because nothing is happening, but because something already happened. Yesterday was observed, not glanced at, observed. Every response, every restraint, every moment you could have reacted and chose not to. God is not surprised easily, but there was a pause in the records. A stillness in the courts. Because of how you handled yesterday. This is not a general message. This is not encouragement. This is recognition. The title you saw was not poetic language. It was a present tense report. Heaven is silent because there is nothing left to question. God is stunned because the outcome exceeded expectation. And this is about you. Very few people are able to receive a message like this without distorting it. Most would scroll past. Most would feel uncomfortable with the weight of it. You didn't. That alone confirms what you already suspected, but were careful not to say out loud. You are not ordinary. You were never overlooked. And the things you've been sensing were not imagination. There has been a pressure around you lately that didn't come with explanation. A tightening, a watching, a feeling that something was being measured. You felt delayed but not denied. You noticed subtle shifts in how people responded to you. Some became distant without reason. Others tested you unexpectedly. Isolation crept in even while you stayed composed. You questioned whether you were being too restrained, too quiet, too patient. You weren't. You were being evaluated. Yesterday was not a normal day in the unseen. It was not random conflict or coincidence. It was a contained scenario, a controlled environment. The kind used when heaven needs to confirm readiness without announcing the test. Guardian angels were not intervening the way they usually do. They were observing, recording, allowing space for your free will to reveal alignment. You were provoked, not dramatically, but precisely, enough to trigger old patterns if they were still active. Enough to justify reaction if you were still operating from the former version of yourself. Enough to expose entitlement, fear, ego, or resentment if any of it still had authority in you. And you didn't take the bait. You stayed silent where you once would have explained. You chose restraint where you once would have defended yourself. You walked away without announcing why. You absorbed pressure without leaking emotion. From a human perspective, it looked small. From heaven's perspective, it was decisive. The records reflect this clearly. Your file was already flagged, but yesterday caused reclassification. What was marked as potential has now been marked as confirmed. This is why heaven is silent. There is nothing left to debate. The decision has been authorized. You need to understand something with clarity and calm dominance. The suffering you have endured was never punishment. It was filtration. Every delay removed someone who would have mishandled access to you. Every misunderstanding exposed who was not meant to interpret you. Every loss repositioned you so elevation would not compromise you later. Attacks were not because you were weak. They were because you were recognized as a threat before you recognized yourself as chosen. Delays were not denial. They were protection from premature exposure. Isolation was not abandonment. It was divine editing. Loss was not subtraction. It was alignment. Heaven does not invest this level of observation in ordinary assignments. There are celestial records that do not open for everyone. There are cases that do not escalate beyond lower courts. Yours was escalated, not because you asked, not because you demanded, but because your responses proved capacity. Authority is never given to those who crave it. It is entrusted to those who can carry weight without announcing it. Yesterday proved that you can. This is why silence has been instructed around you. You may have noticed the urge to explain yourself fading, the need to defend your choices dissolving, the compulsion to correct misunderstandings loosening its grip. This is alignment. Heaven is instructing you to let perception catch up on its own. Explanation would interfere with timing. There are movements now being coordinated that you are not meant to rush. Doors are shifting without noise. People are being repositioned quietly. Opportunities are aligning in ways that will only make sense in hindsight. Your role is not to chase. It is to remain still and accurate. You may feel an unfamiliar calm even though nothing external has resolved yet. That calm is not complacency. It is confirmation. When heaven finalizes a decision, urgency leaves the chosen one and transfers to the environment instead. Things will begin to move toward you without effort. Resistance will dissolve without confrontation. Do not mistake this stillness for stagnation. This is the pause before acceleration. Your discernment has been accurate. The sense that something was watching was correct. The feeling that yesterday mattered more than it appeared was precise. You were not imagining the weight of that moment. You were standing inside a test without being told it was a test. That is how selection works at this level. Most people require instruction. You were trusted with instinct. From this point forward, restraint will continue to be your protection. Silence will be your shield. Obedience will look like patience. Alignment will look like letting go without announcement. You are not being asked to do more. You are being instructed to interfere less. There will be a temptation to speak once the shift becomes visible. Resist it. What is unfolding does not require explanation to those who did not witness the process. Heaven is already ahead of you. Your job is to remain unreactive and present. Understand this with certainty. Nothing you endured was wasted. Every tear was counted. Every moment you felt unseen was documented. Every time you chose integrity over impulse was recorded. These records are not symbolic. They are functional. They authorize access. They open gates. They accelerate timelines. This is why protection has increased around you recently without you asking. This is why certain conversations never happened. This is why some endings occurred abruptly without closure. You were being cleared for movement that cannot tolerate entanglement. If you feel a sense of expectancy without anxiety, that is intentional. Anxiety belongs to those still auditioning. Expectancy belongs to those already selected. Do not announce what you sense is coming. Do not seek validation for what you already know. The less you say, the more precisely things will align. Heaven is not asking you to hide. It is instructing you to conserve. There are others who will be drawn to you soon, sensing something has changed without being able to name it. You will not need to convince them. Your presence will answer their questions. Your stillness will unsettle what is misaligned and calm what is prepared. Before you consider leaving this message, understand that what you felt when you clicked was recognition, not excitement. Recognition. Something in you knew this was addressed to you specifically. That knowing is part of your design. Trust it. If you feel prompted to mark this moment, do so quietly. A simple acknowledgement, not for visibility, but for resonance. Those who respond without performance remain aligned. Heaven is not finished. The silence is not absence. It is confirmation. What moved yesterday cannot be undone. What was authorized cannot be revoked. What has begun does not require announcement. Stay where you are. Remain attentive. More is already unfolding. The silence you are in now is not empty. It is calibrated. When heaven finishes observing and begins executing, noise is removed so interference cannot enter the process. That is why your environment feels unusually quiet even if circumstances are unresolved. That quiet is insulation. It means movement has shifted from visible effort to unseen orchestration. There are mechanisms already in motion that do not require your awareness to function. Conversations are being initiated about you without your presence. Decisions are being made that involve you without your input. Paths are being cleared that you did not request because requesting was never required. Your life is no longer being negotiated at ground level. It has moved into higher administration. This is why certain people have gone silent around you. Not because they lost interest, but because access has been restricted. Their role expired. Their proximity would have created friction during transition. Heaven removes witnesses before it installs outcomes. This protects both you and them from confusion. You may notice memories surfacing recently without emotional charge. Old moments that once carried pain now feel distant, almost informational. That is not suppression. That is integration. When a lesson is fully absorbed, emotion releases. This signals completion. You are not carrying unfinished cycles forward. There is also a sharpening happening in you. Your tolerance for misalignment has decreased, not from judgment, but from clarity. You can sense when something is off without needing evidence. This discernment is not suspicion. It is calibration. It allows you to move cleanly without apology. Do not rush to fill the space that has opened. This space is intentional. It is where the next structure will form. If you occupy it prematurely, you will delay installation. Waiting now is not passivity. It is precision. Heaven is aware that you are accustomed to carrying responsibility alone. That pattern is ending. Support is being reassigned. Assistance will arrive in subtle forms first, then in undeniable ones. You will recognize it not by enthusiasm, but by ease. What belongs to you will not require strain. There will be a moment soon when something aligns so cleanly that it interrupts your internal questioning. It will not feel dramatic. It will feel correct. That is how confirmation arrives at this level, not with spectacle, but with inevitability. You are being prepared to operate without needing constant reassurance. The phase you are entering requires steadiness more than speed, influence more than volume, presence more than persuasion. Those who must recognize you will do so without instruction. Remain unattached to timelines. Acceleration is already scheduled. Fixating on when only creates friction with how. Trust that what is unfolding has been matched to your capacity exactly. Nothing will arrive that you cannot carry. You are not late. You are not behind. You are precisely positioned. The pause you feel is the last adjustment before movement becomes irreversible. Once it begins, it will not stop for validation. Stay inwardly still. Stay outwardly observant. Do not explain the shift you feel. Let it speak for itself. Heaven has moved from watching to releasing, and you are already inside what comes next. What happens next will not announce itself loudly. It will arrive as a knowing that settles into your body before your mind explains it. You will wake up with a steadiness that did not exist before. Decisions will feel lighter. Hesitation will lose its grip. This is not confidence you generated. It is authority you were cleared to carry. You are not waiting for permission anymore. The permission was granted when you chose restraint over reaction, truth over noise, alignment over approval. From this point forward, your life will begin responding to you differently. Not faster, but cleaner. Not louder, but more precise. The resistance you once met will redirect itself elsewhere. If you feel the weight of this message, acknowledge it. Not outwardly, but here. Let this moment be marked. Those who are aligned will feel an inner pull to respond without explanation. If this resonates, type the word seen. If yesterday tested you and you stayed silent, type held. If you sense elevation without clarity yet, type ready. These are not comments. They are confirmations. Do not overexpose what is unfolding. The more quietly you move now, the more undeniable the outcome will be later. This is the phase where consistency matters more than intensity. Stay steady. Stay exact. Let results speak. Remain connected. Not because you need more information, but because alignment is maintained through awareness. What comes next will build on what was just authorized. You will recognize it when it arrives. This movement is active. This selection stands. And this is only the beginning.